we're at the end of February now, last weekend in February. So I've got together my seed potatoes that I've been collecting, and I'm going to sort them out today and start chitting them. So I'm going to put them out in some trays. So I thought I'd show you what I've got this year, what we're going to be growing this year, and then show you some of what we'd do, how we organise them to chit in our windowsills for a month or so, just to get the little sort of shoots coming up. So these are the ones that we've got from shops. We've been very lucky this year in that we did buy some that the kids wanted specifically, but we also got some free with some vouchers from the garden centre. So you didn't have to buy anything, but you had some vouchers in their sort of little magazine. My mum and dad go quite regularly to a garden centre as they go past. So they picked some up for me. So I'll show you what we got. The ones we bought are these. So we bought 2 bags of these Rudolph potatoes. So these are a main crop. And we grew these last year. So the kids like these because obviously the name, the Rudolph, and they're red. And we grew these in our garden last year in one of the raised beds. So we bought a few more this year. We bought 2 packs this year. They did really well in our garden, and they were very, very big. They were bigger than jagged potato size. They were big, sort of one big handful each. So yeah, we were really impressed with those. So we've got some more of those, and we'll probably throw one bag at home and one down the allotment, and see how they get on. The kids also wanted some blue potatoes, so they saw these ones. These are main crop as well. So there's 8 in those, 10 in the Rudolph. So yeah, we'll see how they get on. Always happy to try some different varieties, see how they do in our soil, and what they how well they cook in different ways. So we ended up with 2 bags of those because we've got one free from the garden centre, and the kids bought one. They saw it and wanted it. We've also got, so the rest of these were all from the voucher system. So we didn't end up paying for most of them this year. We've got 10 international kidney main crops. So these are good for salad and boiling. So I'm guessing they're probably going to be quite small potatoes maybe. So we've got those. We've got 10 markies, which are also main crop. This one has a RHS award merit label. They're good for boiling, baking, chips and roasting. So yeah, we've got those there, their main crop. We've got some Arran Victory. They seem to be good for most things. And then the last ones we've got are Duke of York. So we've got 20 of those. And they're good for boiling and mash and roasting. So that's really good. So overall, so we've got, I think there's 10 packets there. So they are more than we had last year. So I think we bought 7 bags last year. So we had one bag of Rudolph last year. We grew Charlotte, King Edwards, and a couple of others, I think. And we did really well with the Charlottes, and we did really well with the Rudolph. The others weren't quite so good. So yeah, it's good to try some different things. Obviously last year was very, very hot in the summer, so they were very dry. We had a lot that were too dry. I couldn't keep up. Didn't have enough water down the plot, and I couldn't carry enough down there to water everything. So some of them suffered from that. And then I left a lot of them in the ground because we were eating them throughout. They lasted about 7 months, the ones we grew, and we lost quite a lot. So I'm going to try and water them better this year and try and lift them a bit earlier this year. They didn't like that it got hot. We had a cold spell in September, October, and then it got warmer again. So I think all of that sort of didn't work very well storing them in the ground last year. So that's the ones we got shop bought. So I'll put them away, and then I'll show you, I did save quite a lot actually of seed potatoes that we'd grown. So a lot of the ones that had already started shooting when we were storing them, I put in a separate box and kept. So we've got a lot of potatoes this year, and we probably won't be able to use them all. So I'll give some of these I might give back to my mum, just like a couple of each, so they can grow them in their garden. And we'll grow some at home as well. But we'll see what we can fit in of these. And then we'll grow as many as we can of the ones we saved as well. So as well as the ones we've bought, these are what I saved from last year, the ones we grew last year, with the intention of not really buying any this year, maybe just a couple of bags. But as I said, I got quite a lot of them free, and we knew we wanted the Rudolph ones again, so we got those. But yeah, so I'm going to plant the ones that we've bought first, because obviously they're sort of not, I know they're well produced and everything, so I'll plant them first, and then any other room I've got, I'll sow some of these as well. So we've got a bit of a mix here from last year. So we've got some second early Charlottes. These ones have gone absolutely bonkers in this box. These were stored, they were in the cold out in our pantry, but they've still managed to get some light. So I might trim these back and see if they'll keep growing. The potatoes themselves look pretty good. So yep, so we've got those. So there's some Charlottes, which we really liked last year, did really well. We've got some first early Maris Bard, which I've written on here, good big pots. So they obviously did quite well. Again, they've gone pretty mad. I don't know how well they'll do if they've used up too much energy doing this already. So I'll trim them back a bit, see how they get on. It's a bit of an experiment. I'm trying to learn year on year how to store stuff, how to, I don't want to keep buying potatoes every year because it costs a lot, it costs money. Obviously if we can save that money, it's even better. So yeah, I'm sort of learning. We've got first early Casablanca. So these I've written smaller roast size potatoes. Yeah, so there's lots in here. I tried to save about 20 of each, I think. Got a load of those. We've got, I saved the bag with these ones. So these are the King Edwards. So we didn't do so well with the King Edwards in the end. Although these actually, strangely enough, look like they've done quite well. They must have been darker. So like that could go straight in. So yeah, I'll try a mix of those. And then the last ones. So this box is at the end of storing our potatoes. We had them in our pantry, which is cold and dark, which stores really well in there. After 7 months odd of storing potatoes, this is what was left in the bottom, and obviously they'd started to go. They started to sprout and stuff, so I just chucked them in a box. But I think they do pretty well. So there's a mix in here of everything we grew, probably. So this is a bit of a variety mix, but worth a go. If I've got some spare ground, I'll chuck them in. We've got quite a bit along the back of the allotment. We've got that big bit along the back and the side that's probably not fantastic soil, but it will probably do quite well with potatoes. So if I've got nothing else in there, then I'll fill it up with potatoes. Can always share it with other people if we're inundated with potatoes. Or, they store really well. I think if we'd have kept them even darker, right at the back of the pantry, they would have lasted us even longer. So that's all of the potatoes we've got this year to sow. There's a lot there, a lot more than I was anticipating having. As I said, I was going to try and sow these mainly, but we ended up with some good free ones, so I'm not going to turn that down, obviously. So yeah, that's all the ones we've got to go this year. So these ones obviously don't need chitting. I'll just put these back in the pantry, and as soon as I can, as soon as the sort of frost has passed, I'll get them out. The other ones that are in bags, I'm going to get out. This morning I found out all the sort of trays, our flour trays, and I've washed them all up, make sure there's no diseases on them from sowing all the other seeds we've had in them through the year. Give them a bit of a clean up. So I'm just going to lay them out in each tray and label them up So I'll show you a couple of those. So I've dried up a couple of the trays. So I've got about 7 or 8 of these trays. They're just the ones that come with, like when you have the little plastic things for seeds, little seed starting trays. So I've washed them all up, cleaned them, dried them. And what I want to do is just lay these out. What I normally do is lay the bag down in the bottom so I know which ones are which. And then lay them all out and put them in my office windowsill. Lay them all along there, and then they can get a bit of sun, start to chit, and then by March, April we get them out. So yeah, so these are the 2. I just picked out 2, and I'll get the kids to come and help me with some more, especially their ones they bought. They like to do that. So I've got these International Kidney. So I'm just going to split this bag open and tip them out in here. And lay them out. Some of them we've got obviously 2 bags of, so they'll fit in a box each. Yeah, both of them will fit in a box as well. Yeah, I mean, these ones have already started to go, so they're not actually that far off really. But yeah, that's all I'm going to do, and then I'll put them in the windowsill and keep an eye on them. Obviously, if they start getting too big, I'll move them out of the sun. Really, don't want them to get too big. It just gives them a bit of a head start in life, and we can get them when we get nice weather. We can get down the allotment and prepare some of the beds. I'll probably just put a little bit of compost. I might go and buy a couple of bags of compost, just top up the beds, and yeah, just put a little bit on first. Sow these, give them a little bit of nutrients to get going, and then later in the season, what I normally do is, as much as I can, mow the lawn and put a layer of lawn clippings on the top, around the plants, and all through the season I do that as much as I can. Last year obviously it was hot, so I didn't get to do the lawn much, didn't really grow that much, but I tried mowing up and down the allotment paths and use that grass, any I can get my hands on really, and that works obviously to top the soil up as the potatoes grow, so it stops them going green, but it also obviously composts down, and by the end of the season it's all gone. It's all composted into the soil anyway, so it's good way to compost as well. But yep, so I'll be doing that as soon as I can, as much as I can through the year. Obviously with lots of potatoes it's hard to get hold of that much grass clippings, but we'll do our best. Yep, so that's what I've got this year, sort of haul of seed potatoes. That's how I'm chitting them, and then hopefully it won't be too much longer, another month, maybe a few weeks, till we can start getting some out. As I've got lots of different ones, I might take a chance, get some out early, and you never know with the weather. These at the moment, we could have another hot year, and it'd be great to get some out earlier in the year so that they have a chance to grow before that hot weather and dry. Save some water, and maybe some later on in the season as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed a little look at what I'm growing this year and how I'm chitting them, and hope you're all getting out in the bits of sunshine we're getting, and look forward to seeing you at the allotment soon.